Hello, everybody. Today's Friday, September 19th, 2025. I hope everybody's doing well. Another week almost that is over. Nevertheless, let's take a look at what is happening in the Atlantic right now in the tropics. Tropical storm Gabrielle continues to get a little bit better organized overnight. It's not it's not by no means it's a massive storm or anything like that. I mean, it has struggled, even though the National Hurricane Center jumped the gun and kind of named it even before it got organized, like decently organized. But nevertheless, I mean, it's picking up. It has a close center circulation, and that's why it's starting to gain some convection, and that's what you guys are seeing here. That's basically Tropical Storm Gabrielle. Now, Tropical Storm Gabrielle is expected to curve out to sea, how I mentioned on my last video. So it's not really going to affect anybody as of now. The only land that needs to still pay attention to it, because it all depends when that recurving starts to happen. But like I mentioned before, that will be Bermuda. Now, I'll show you in a bit the forecast cone in the track, so you guys can see potentially how close it is going to get to Bermuda. But right now, it's getting better organized. According to the satellite imagery there, it's starting to look more like a storm. Now, we have some showers going on. Another basically bunch of rain and thunderstorm in this area, but it's all scattered, so nothing to worry about. And then, of course, you guys have another area here of interest in the Pacific that it may want to start to develop. Some of the forecasting models are actually developing it into a tropical storm and potentially a hurricane, but that's something we have to, of course, monitor since it's that close to Mexico. Now, let's take a look at the spaghetti models and also what else is happening with Gabrielle. Here's the forecast cone of the 5 o'clock in the morning, as of 5 o'clock in the morning. So Bermuda is no longer under a direct threat from it, but depending of the size of a Gabrielle, depending how big it gets, and also if it keeps moving, if it starts moving more west, etc., it's going to basically have get closer to Bermuda. So we will have to keep an eye on that to see how close it gets. But right now it has winds of 50 miles per hour. It's moving west-northwest at 12 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at the spaghetti models. So they're pretty good agreement. Very clustered together. So the forecast track is very, it's in very high agreement. So that's a good sign. You don't want to have a lot of division because obviously that gives a lot of uncertainty to the forecast. But the intensity, all over the place, but it's expected. The majority of models, I would say probably 80%, 90% of the models are saying this definitely, Gabrielle is definitely going to become a hurricane. How strong it gets, as you guys can see, it goes anywhere from a category 1 all the way to a 4. So it really depends. But the majority of them are saying anywhere from a 1 to a 3 or a 2 mostly. So a Cat 1, Cat 2 basically would be the majority of the consensus. Now, let's take a look and see what the National Hurricane Center is saying regarding Gabrielle. But let's actually check one more thing here. Let's check the wind probability. So you guys can see that Bermuda right here. And the majority of the worst weather from Gabrielle is going to stay to the east of it. So no major concern there. And then we have another wave, which is a whole scatter of thunderstorms that I did point it out earlier. This is basically what the National Hurricane Center about that area is giving it a 20% chance of development. And it says a tropical, so I'm zooming on that. It says a tropical wave just off the west coast of Africa is producing disorganized showers and thunderstorm activity. Some slow development of the system is possible through the middle of the latter part of the next week while it moves west-northwestward across the eastern and central Atlantic. So very early, but nevertheless, keep an eye on that. Now let's take a look and see how the conditions are as far as wind shear. So you guys can see here is let's see. Gabrielle is kind of, whoops. Yeah, Gabrielle is here. And there's a nice area of the disorganized showers that may have a chance of developing. It's in better conditions, but we'll see if it develops or not. But overall, I mean, the majority of the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and even the Gulf of Mexico is under the red. So meaning that conditions are not favorable. There's a lot of wind shear in the area. So Gabrielle has a small pocket of opportunity where it can intensify and develop. So we'll see what happens of course on that. Now let's take a look at the models, because that's very, very important to see what the models are picking up. So let's take a look here. Go back to tropical tidbits. Let's see, forecasting models. Now the 0Z model or run from the European, it has an interesting, very interesting track for what the wave that it just came off of the coast of Africa into the Atlantic. Again, I'm not expecting a whole lot out of that. That's going to change. But let's take a look at the GFS first. You guys can see here, Gabrielle. And then as it gets closer to Bermuda, starts intensifying, of course. Move forward. Another low system of low pressure popping up here. But then there's another wave. Well, it actually... Okay, that's a 06. See, nevertheless... Well, I take that back, actually. Yeah, this is the GFS. I don't know why I was thinking about... I was talking about the GFS, but then in my mind, I was thinking about the European. But another low center here. If we go back in time, seems like it comes from the Gulf of Mexico, crosses Florida, so a little bit of a rainmaker. And I wouldn't be surprised if it starts picking up a little bit of strength as it emerges off the coast of Florida. But I'm not expecting anything major out of that. Now, let's take a look at the European so you guys can see what I was talking about. So there's Gabrielle again. Move forward. Intensifies. Hurricane. Cat 2. Curves out to sea. But if you guys look in here. So there's like this wave there that. You see, now you see it. Now you guys see the L. Let me kind of zoom in. Right there. System on low pressure. But the interesting thing is there's a system, see there's a high pressure system up here which is expected to block it. And as it moves forward, it kind of stalls there. The water temperatures are very, very warm in this area. And then it starts pushing it back south. So it looks like another high pressure system kind of drops from Canada. Now, the crazy part is it starts intensifying the Florida Keys. Now, if you guys don't know, the Florida Keys... well, actually east of the Florida Keys and heading that way, you'll see in a minute. But that area, the water is not that deep. And because it's not that deep, it really, really gets warm quickly. So that's probably what the European model is actually picking up here. As we move forward, goes through the Keys, and potentially making landfall in the northern coast of Cuba, intensifying quickly. And honestly, I'm like I said, take this with a grain of salt, but 973s, 945. This here will be, let me put it this way, guys. This is going to change. Like I said, it's way, way, way too far out. We're talking about 360 hours out. If you guys have seen a pattern, all the videos that I've posted, the way they have talked about the different models and the different waves and storms, this is too far out. This is gonna change. But if this would have happened, this would be, I would tell you guys, this would be a very, very bad thing. And the reason why I say that is because being pushed and stalled and just sitting on that super warm water in the through the Florida Keys into the Gulf, that will give it so much fuel that it could potentially become a very strong hurricane. How you guys are seeing here, 947. Again, this is the only forecast model that shows that, so obviously that's going to change. But if, let's say, this would have to play it out, it would be a very, very bad situation. Now the Canadian model, again, intensifies Gabrielle, curving out to sea. Then the other wave, it develops the other wave as well, but also pretty much just follow the footsteps of Gabrielle, Aaron, basically what we have seen this season so far, that everything curves out to sea. And then let's take the last model here, the Icon. Again, intensifies Gabrielle into a hurricane. It doesn't do a whole lot with a wave behind it that the other forecasting models are predicting to, to intensify into potentially a hurricane. But I just wanted to show you guys what is happening. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but right now not a whole happening, which is surprising since we're still somewhat in the peak of the season, but conditions overall are not great. A lot of wind shear. There's a lot of Saharan dust in the environment, dry air. So all those things, even though sea surface temperatures are pretty warm, there's a lot of negative things towards the development of storms that are hindering the development of the storms. But I hope you guys have a good day. Have a good Friday. Don't forget to like this video, share with your family, subscribe for more content, and I will keep you guys posted if anything else develops. Thank you guys.